What up, y'all? It's the Real Ball Watcher. Grab your binoculars, and I'm back with another video. You see, I got that new 4 on. It's new, so we gotta get it right for the camera. You feel me? I got the 4 on. You know what it is, T-Mac. But today we're gonna talk about a different receiver. Actually, today we're gonna talk about Jalen Coker. It's a lot of noise surrounding his name. You know, he got a chance to be cut. He might not make the final 6, 7, or if they keep 7, he's making it. But they might not make the final 6 or 5 if they keep that many receivers. A lot of stuff going on. I get that he was undrafted. Face value, his stats don't look that crazy. But that was our best receiver, especially with Bryce Young starting last year because Adam Thielen missed so much time. Him and Adam Thielen was neck and neck. So today we're going to go through the film, see what I see. See the positives. I'm going to do the negatives at the end, of course. But even for the guys that's not necessarily into film, I got the stats for you too, the little analytics. You know, the advanced stuff that y'all love to see. Graph guys, calculators, grab them. We got it. But let's get into it. Now, if you like the video, do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Let me know who you want to see next. I know I've been talking about doing this video for a long time, so I'm glad I'm finally getting it out eventually. This is filmed right before FanFest, so I don't know. If he go out there and go crazy and I should have added stuff to the video, my apologies, you know. But this is right before FanFest, before I leave the house. But if you see me looking down, I got my notebook with me. I took notes of all of his analytics because I'm going to forget that stuff. That's not my bag. The film stuff, I got notes of that too, but I can just rattle that off from memory. But the analytics, I want to make sure I wrote it down to get it correct with proper context. But we're going to start with our bread and butter. Film. What is Jalen Coker good at? Why am I so high on Jalen Coker? First thing you got to talk about, especially when he was coming out in the draft and even last year, is his route running prowess and his route running refinement, ability, whatever you want to call it. He is technically sound. That is the baseline of his game. Is just being a technically sound wide receiver, the fundamentals. When he was coming out, and I remember, of course, y'all know I watch film anyway, so I don't got to prove anything. When he was coming out, I just so happened to watch Steve Smith's video of him watching film at Holy Cross going through it, and I think it was Steve Smith. I could be wrong, but they compared him to Tim Duncan, where he's not doing the flashy stuff because he might not have the athleticism to do all that splash play stuff, but everything is just so fundamentally sound that it works, and it looks boring, but it's effective. And that's exactly what he came out and did his rookie year. The way that he can release off the line, stem people later in routes, break down at the top of his routes, play into the leverage of defensive backs. I mean, the ability to kind of get into a, not necessarily a window, but get their hips moving one way and to, you know, lean out or cut the route off to get a little bit of separation with just subtle head nods, subtle movements of his bodies, the way that he's angling his routes. It's almost elite. Like, he's probably the best or second best route runner on this team as an undrafted rookie last year, let alone now what he's going to be able to add to his bag with guys like Adam Thielen, of course, coaching him up for a year, but then add in a guy like Hunter Renfrow in the offseason who's going to be able to work with him because the receivers have been working together all offseason with Bryce. So his route runner prowess is amazing. That's the first thing you got to talk about. And then the second thing to me is his hands. He just has sure hands. He does not drop the ball. I want to say he's 6'2", I want to say he's 6'2", 6'3", and he just goes up and gets stuff outside his frame 24/7. If you layer it over a linebacker, Jalen Coker is going to be able to go get it. If you put it between a safety and a corner in a tight window, he's going to hold on to it while getting hit. If you put it down low and away, and he kind of got to catch it off the ground, he's able to do that. He did not drop passes last year, and that's a big thing for quarterbacks because not only do you, 2 things to gain the quarterback trust, 3 really, but the 2 things that are easiest to do, be in the right place when you're supposed to be there and catching the ball when I get it to you. That is the 2 things quarterbacks are going to say, hey, to gain my trust, do those 2 things. Third thing, just make plays when I just give you a chance. But that's for the other guy. Like, that's for guys that's in the upper echelon. But just being a regular, good role-playing receiver, hey, be in the right spots, catch the ball when I give it to you. Those are the first 2 things I'll talk about. That's exactly what Jalen Coker does. He's always in the right spot. He's always going to catch it when Bryce throws it to him, however Bryce throws it to him. Whether it's he's getting hit outside of his body, outside of his frame, he's able to go up and get the ball. Really, really sure hands. We'll talk about that later on with the analytics, but you have to point out that ability because he's almost like a tight end because he's almost this safety valve or this safety blanket for Bryce to be like, hey, it's 3rd and long. I know he's going to be on this in breaker across the middle of the field, which is going to change later. We'll talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance to bring this down, and I know he's going to be able to do it because he's going to create enough separation with his route running ability and his box out ability with his size to pull in the ball. But let's not harp on that too much. We know Jalen Coker got hands. We already know that. You know, ain't no need to keep going. But I also want to add the third thing that was most surprising to me is he was above average at yak. Now I want to make sure I say above average. I don't want to say he was a great yak player, nothing like that. He's not Deebo Samuel. He's not one of those guys. But if you look at it, he was one of our best yak guys last year. I mean, he's not gonna make guys miss. He's not that elusive, like I said, he's not that athletic, but he's almost like a Ben Skoranek, almost like those hybrid gadget players that are big body receivers, catch the ball over the middle, good hands, but they're rumblers with the ball. I mean, I think the first kind of big catch he made in that Bears game, when he did that out route and routed the guy up, he caught the ball, but then the first thing he did was bounce off of a tackler and keep running later on. So that's what he's really good at, is just bouncing off and running through arm tackles to create yak. He was our best yak player last year, which is saying a lot, but it also isn't, because we don't have that good a yak player. So he does have above average yak, and I think as he gets stronger, maybe gets a little bit more explosiveness and elusiveness, we can maybe get him into the good category. But the fact that he's sure hands, very, very refined, elite route runner, almost. I don't know if I can say that because he doesn't have the explosiveness, but great route runner, elite hands. I'll give him elite hands, and then he's going to be a above average to maybe one day good yak player. That's a really, really good, strong baseline for a player. So, and then the last thing when it comes to the film, at least, it's kind of in the same vein, but his play strength, the way he's able to play through guys, play through contact, play through hits, run through arm tackles. He's able to be a good blocker. He's a big receiver. He's not one of these smaller, shiftier guys. He's not one of these guys that doesn't put effort into the run game and blocking things like that. He does all the fundamentals right, and that goes into it. He has some muscle on him. He's able to run through guys. He's able to run through people trying to hold him back, I guess. I don't want to say press, because he didn't see too much press. But I do believe with his route running ability, with his releases, and a little bit of his explosiveness, because he did have a decent 10-yard split. He didn't have a crazy 40. I think it was like a 4.5, 4.6. But his 10-yard split was decent enough. So he has enough explosiveness off the line. He's almost like a very good vertical. I don't want to quote it off top and be incorrect, but he has very good vertical. So he can explode off the line. He's strong. I think he could play through press. Do you want to be your X? No. But if he could be your Z, I think you can live with that. But yeah, he's really, really good play strength, man. Really, really good play strength. I had to point that out. So yeah, that's what it is for the film stuff, and now I can kind of attach the analytics stuff down with it. So yeah, when it comes to analytics, man, let me look. Talking about his sure hands, man, a 70% catch rate when being targeted. It was like 69.8, but I'm like, bro, just give it to him. 70% catch rate when targeted. Whenever Bryce threw him the ball, I know some of this factors in throwaways and bad throws, or it doesn't factor in that in. All of that is included, but factoring all those passes in and still having a 70% catch rate is insane. That just shows you how reliable he is as a player. He had a plus 11.4% catch rate over expected. Catch rate over expected is basically if you're not expected to make the catch. I know that sounds exactly what it says, but that's exactly what it is. Like, hey, if somebody throws a pass and you're like, how you expect me to catch that? Like, the defender's draped all over me. It's a bad pass. It's outside of my frame. If you're able to pull in that catch, being on the positive side or plus side, that's how much, that's a lot better. So 11.4% over expected is really, really good. I want to say that was the highest on our team last year. So that's just showing his hands are nuts. Like, he's going to pull in every pass, almost every single pass that you throw to him. Like I said, that kind of speaks to his almost tight end like ability. Pause. That was crazy. He has a 56% catch score on ESPN. I know that doesn't seem too great, but I want to say that was about 13th or 11th, somewhere in there, tied for 13th or tied for 11th in the entire NFL. For wide receivers, the entire NFL. As a matter of fact, I think it was including wide receivers and tight ends. So that shows you he's towards the top of the league. It's 56 out of 100. But yeah, he's towards the top of the league when it comes to that. I want to say Adam Thielen had was tied for him, or like just above him with 58 or something, or 59. So that just shows you how reliable Jalen Coker's hands are. And he had a plus 67 yak over expected. Same thing with catch over expected. If you don't expect this guy to create yards after the catch on a pass, on a certain play, that's what yak over expected is, or yards after catch over expected. He's plus 67, the highest on our team by a wide margin. I don't even know if anybody else was in the positive except for maybe, Outside of like Chuba Hubbard, that don't count. But like for receivers and tight ends, I don't think anybody was in the positive except for maybe Jatavian Sanders, and it was like +2, so, or +3. So really, really good, really, really good. And his YAC score on ESPN was 63rd, not 63rd, 63 ESPN YAC score, which ranked tied for 12th in the entire NFL for wide receivers and tight ends. So that just speaks to how I know it looks great. And that's the thing about film. That's why you got to watch film, because if you see this, you start thinking, oh, he's one of the best YAC players in the league. No, I would not say that. But there is a good floor, a good basis for him to start at when it comes to YAC. And it shows that he has that in his game. I still say above average. Still say above average. Hopefully we can get to good. Or if you want to say good, I'm not even mad, but I wouldn't say good yet. But he is above average YAC player. And one of the best analytics stats that I seen was when it came to rookies last year, he was second in yards per route run. Simple as that. He had 2.97 yards per route run. The first player was Lad McConkey with 3.01. We know what Lad McConkey did last year, 1,100 yards. He was a top 10 to 15 receiver as a rookie. So Jalen Coker is up there with those guys. And I want to say it was a target share stat that had him like the 8th best target share when actually on field. And target share is basically how much the quarterback is throwing to you. So if you're getting open, if you're the primary read or something like that, he was like 8th or 9th in the league. I don't have that stat immediately because I couldn't find it again. But all these analytics show exactly what I said. Great hands, great catch rate, great YAC score. The only thing I didn't necessarily have was his openness, but I guess, or separation ability. I don't know if you want to say that, but I guess you can kind of show that with the yards per route run stat. But yeah, really, really good player. But we know what we're doing in these videos. We're not just being biased. We're not just saying, hey, this guy's going to be amazing. We got to talk about the cons. So let's get into it. Now, the cons we don't have as much film for. So we're going to kind of group the film and the analytics in at the same time. But the first thing I got to speak about is his role limitation. Now, we have a crowded receiver room, as we know. As a person who wasn't a fan of the Hunter Renfrow pickup because it just felt like a feel-good story, I was incorrect. That guy's out there hooping. He looks good. Whatever he had going on, I'm glad he was able to pull through and get back to, good health and then healthy enough to play football. But he's out there looking really, really good. So now you have to factor in Hunter Renfrow. But we have T-Mac, number 4, which hopefully I can get this signed today. T-Mac, if you see this, I did a video on you. It was pretty positive. It was pretty popular too. Everybody liked it. But anyways, we got T-Mac. That's obviously going to be our number 1 receiver. He's going to be our X receiver. Then you have our first round pick from last year, Xavier Legette. No matter how you feel about Xavier Legette, I did a video on him. I still have good faith in Xavier Legette. I don't think he'll be a number 1, but I think he can still be a good number 2, which is okay. I'm okay with a good number 2 in the first round. At the end of the first round, pick 32. That's okay with me. Or a great number 2. I still think he could be that too. But you have Xavier Legette. You're not going to give up on either of those 2 guys anytime soon. They're invested in those 2 guys. You have Adam Thielen, while on the last year of his contract, contemplating retirement. I can see this being his last year or next year being his last year. So soon he'll be out the way. But let's exclude Adam Thielen from the picture. You got your X, T-Mac. You got your Z, Xavier Legette. Slot. You got to factor in Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow has been hooping. He was a Pro Bowl talent before he got here, before he got sick and all the extra stuff. I don't know if he'll be a Pro Bowl talent again, but he's talented enough to where he could get on the field. And then you got Jimmy Horn, a guy that you just drafted this year. Speed kills. The reason I'm not ready to give up on Xavier Legette, I talked about it in the last video. He could be like our speed over-the-top guy, Ted Ginn. But I talked about why he needed to improve in those things. So go to that video and see what it is. But let's say Xavier Legette isn't our burner. He's not able to do that. Jimmy Horn immediately steps in and is able to provide that, because we've seen him at training camp, mini camp, rookie camp, leaving everybody in the dust. Simple as that. His speed and elusiveness, start-stop ability, makes him impossible to guard. So he could be your speed guy from the slot. Now, where does that leave Jalen Coker? I didn't even mention any of the undrafted guys or David Moore, because I think he's better than all those guys. But where does that leave Jalen Coker? A guy who played mostly from the slot last year, especially because Adam Thielen was out. It's going to be hard to get him slot reps over Adam Thielen, even though I do think that is a really good one-to-one comparison or a one-to-one phase out where, hey, you phase out Adam Thielen and you get a guy that plays just like him. I think that's perfect. But Adam Thielen, you're probably not going to get in over him this year. Then you have to talk about Hunter Renfrow and Jimmy Horn. If those guys win the slot job next year, where does that leave Jalen Coker? You can put him at the X? No, T-Max at the X. We don't even have to do that. Put him at the Z. Now you have to say, hey, can he beat out Xavier Leggett to be the Z? Also, if Jimmy Horn isn't good enough to be our deep threat, and we have to play Xavier Leggett as our deep threat, we can't put Jalen Coker on the field. Not only that, I talked about how reliable he was on end breakers, things like that. That's going to be T-Mac's job. That's where T-Mac wins. I just did a whole video on T-Mac winning on digs, crossers, things like that. So where does this leave Jalen Coker? He's almost like the odd man out. I think for him, he should focus on beating Renfrow, beating Jimmy Horn, and praying that Xavier Leggett can turn into not a hyped up Ted Ginn, but a Ted Ginn times 2, a Alex Pierce times 2, so he can stay at that Z role and be that flanker receiver. I think that's the best role for him, but as you can see, it's getting crowded in there. Now, luckily, Dave Canales does rotate a lot, so he'll still see the field some, but if he wants to reach his ceiling, his peak that I think he could be at, which is a number 2 receiver, if I haven't made it clear, I think he could be a number 2 receiver. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it with all these guys eating snaps from him, But next con, it's only 2 on the list. Average athlete and especially average speed at best. It kind of goes into the role limitation ones where I talked about how because he's not a faster guy, and he kind of wins all those end breakers and being a safety valve for Bryce and all that. That's probably going to be T-Mac from here on out because his hands are also incredible. We talked about that, and we've seen it in a training camp. So now, hey, where can I fit in? Can you be a guy that stretch the field? He can't. It's not his game. Not his game. I don't want to say he can because that sounds negative, but that's not his game. So being an average athlete, it kind of limits where we can put him. And that goes to the role limitation. So I'm not even going to go too much into that. We already know. And when it comes to the analytics, it's kind of just proving what I was saying about him being a deep target guy. I mean, his deep target percentage or deep target rate, which is how many times was he target of 20 air yards or more downfield, it was an 8.7%. Y'all probably don't even know if that's good or bad. But to put it into perspective, Jatavian Sanders, our tight end, was a 7.0 or 7.1% deep target percentage. So he's 1.6% better getting 1.6% more deep targets than Jatavian Sanders. Was it scheme or is it his athletic limitations? That's up for y'all to interpret. Also, he has a 24% tight window percentage. Now, I talked about him being a good route runner. I did not say that he was an amazing separator. He does get separation, and I talked about him boxing out. I talked about him catching outside his frame. Talked about him catching it through contact. But he does get separation at the top of his route, but I don't know if he has the explosion in speed to run away from guys within the route. Once you get that explosion at the top, you get 1-2 steps. There is a grace period of recovery speed. That's why guys like a lot of fast corners, so they can recover when they get separation. Or if you're a receiver, do you have enough speed where he can't recover? You can just run away from this guy. Jalen Coker has not shown the ability. I don't want to say don't, but has not shown the ability to be this crazy separator. That's when, look at guys like Hunter Renfrow. He's getting so open. He doesn't have that ability. You look at guys like Jimmy Horn, where he may not be as refined as a route runner as Jalen Coker, but he can run away from somebody. You see the difference? You see that's where we're running into. So Jalen Coker, he has his work cut out for him. Just because he was an undrafted guy last year, made the team, made amazing contributions, was better than our first round drafted receiver last year as a rookie, was the best receiver in my opinion as a rookie period for us, doesn't mean the work's done. All right, now you got a probably guaranteed spot on the team, but will you see the field? Will you be able to eat? Will you be given the opportunity to reach your ceiling? We'll have to see. I don't want to bank against it because I like this dude. Like I said, I think he could be a 700 to 900 yard receiver out of the slot. That's with T-Mac going off, So I don't know, man. We'll see. But if you like the video, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. I hope that y'all was into this. Let me know who y'all want to see next. Should I do one of these rookies that's kind of going crazy? Y'all see Thornton Thornton from Louisville, he's kind of nice. I got some film on him if y'all want to do that. Just let me know what you want to see in the comments. If you see me at FanFest, say what's up. This coming out after FanFest, so there's no point in saying that. But I'll see y'all next week or in 2 weeks. I'm out.